With round one gone, it was time to head from the sandy beaches of Florida to the Great White North in Canada. Dan Rash returned in Mosport to grab pole in GS class. Next to him was newcomer Eric Smith, making a good first impression by filling out the front row in his very first race. When the green flag fell, Smith quickly threw away his hard work by losing control while navigating Moss Corner on lap 1. With many other cars going off track, the first caution seemed inevitably close, and it came before the end of the first lap, with Dustin Peterson experiencing a monitor failure. Peterson slid off into the tires and rolled his car. Green flag racing resumed, but attrition already started to eat away at the competition and caused close moments such as Eric Smith, J.D. Baumgartner, and Scott Bersher narrowly avoiding a spinning Jonathan Auger. In ST class, Carl Williamson just pipped Arthur Chan to the pole in the final moments of qualifying. But trouble began to gobble up MX-5s, including Dexter Castro, who was the victim of an overambitious pass by GS driver Jeffrey Sharp on lap 14. This gave Dan Rash and J.D. Baumgartner the opportunity to pit at roughly the 30-minute mark. Early strategy would wind up working well for Rash, but required patience and care as it set him back into the thick of the ST class. Meanwhile, Carl Williamson braved his way around the outside of Arthur Chan, who immediately took the opportunity to get his pit stop out of the way. Lap 25 and Stefan Overgaard goes wide at turn 2, just barely brushing the tire barrier. He lives to fight another day. German Afanador led after Rash's pit stop, but Alexis Molina kept Afanador in check for many laps up until another caution put a damper on the battle. Alexis's hopes for a good finish were put to pasture when his choice in timing for a pit stop came at just the wrong moment and received a black flag for entering a closed pit lane. Arthur Chan's notoriously bad luck also returned. He was erroneously picked up by the pace car, causing him to lose multiple positions. The rest of the ST class used this final caution to get their pit stops out of the way, which promoted William Randleman into the lead. When green returned, Randleman became overwhelmed by GS traffic, and in turn 3 he drifted into Dualjean Boldrin. Both took a swift trip to the tire barriers. In the meantime, with everyone's pit stops completed, Dan Rash was back into the overall lead and never looked back. His first win of the season set him back on track to fight for the GS season crown. Elliot Huffman had worked his way into the lead of the ST class, but Overgaard was piling the pressure on. The dueling pair allowed Carl Williamson and James Stevenson to close in on both of them, and both managed to eventually overtake the American and the Dane. The Aussie passed Huffman for the lead on lap 44 and the 8, 9, 10 corner sequence with some daring late braking, and the two actually made contact. Using every bit of the track and then some, Stevenson would go on to claim the top step of the podium in his class. Today, we'll see who can come out on top on the roller coaster hills of Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama.